Hey, what's up, you little fuckers? I was invited to do this Top 5 Fridays by my buddy JP, aka doubleshotj. He, along with the guys from Killing the Cast and the Woodsboro Brothers, are also ones who do it. I believe Derek also does it. Derek from Cinema Attack. He's been on the 22 Shots here and there. They're all a part of it, and what they do is they upload a video every Friday, and they have a theme. And they've been doing this for a while. You can go to their channels. I forget what they were. Psychological horror, recommendations, werewolf movies, zombie movies. This one is action horror. And I myself am a big fan of not only horror movies, but action as well. So this top 5 came as easy as, making a top 10 would be. I know JP said he'd be struggling to do a top 10, but I could do this all day. And in fact, I decided to knock some off. I was going to go quote unquote true with my top 5 and have some very obvious ones on there, and that would be like the Predator and the Terminator and Aliens. So I decided that my top 13s are going to be my official lists, and this one, the top 5 Fridays, will be something that I just do for fun. So I'm going to take out both Predator movies, the first 2 Predator movies, because I do love both of them, and they could easily, like, part 2 could make the list. It could be part number 4 or 5 on this list. So I'm taking both of those out. I'm taking Terminator out, and I'm taking Aliens out. So I'm going to try to give you a few, not like recommendations. Again, I'm trying not to recommend anything, but just some that I think deserve some love, and some that I do genuinely enjoy and like a lot. So we're going to start this out with number 5, DNA, from 1997, starring Mark Dacascos and Jürgen Prochnow. Now, I took off Predator and I sort of put it back on because DNA is a Predator ripoff. And when you're watching it, you're like, oh shit, it's kind of an Alien ripoff too, with the monster. And if you look closely, there's a little bit of Jurassic Park in there too. There's one scene that is, if you walked into a room and saw this playing on TV, you'd be like, what the fuck, we're Jurassic Park, and it'd take a second for your mind to click and be like, oh, this isn't Jurassic Park, what the fuck. But it's got a mix of Predator, Alien, sort of Alien, with just the design of the monster, and a little bit of Jurassic Park in there. Very, very fun movie from the 90s. People shit on the 90s all the time as the worst decade in horror, but I really do love it, and with this list, you'll probably see why, or how much, rather. At number 4, Pitch Black. Pitch Black from the year 2000, starring Vin Diesel as Riddick. That one's about this crew who are transporting this, renowned criminal, Riddick, and they end up going to this planet, and things go a little fucky. The planet, which is for the most part daylight all the time, they show up at a point where they're gonna have this crazy eclipse, and it just so happens that there are monsters that live under the ground that are 100% adjusted to the dark. Just watched this one very recently. I think I finished it up yesterday or the day before. Still very fun. I did like the sequel. I haven't seen part 3 yet, even though I own it. But the first one is, it is action horror. It is up there, and obviously I like it a lot because it's my number 4 on this list. At number 3, Deep Rising, a movie that I think is very underrated as far as fun and entertainment value. And it stars Treat Williams. The cast is crazy. It has Treat Williams. It has Cliff Curtis, Smiley from Training Day. Oh, I'm always getting love from the homies. That guy. It has Clifton Powell, who will always be Pinky from Next Friday. It also has Famke. Is it Famke? Famke Jensen? Whatever. She was Jean Grey in the X-Men movies. It also has Anthony Held. He was Dr. Chilton from Silence of the Lambs. Wes Studi, who was Sagat in Street Fighter. I love that movie. I don't give a fuck what you say. He was in Last of the Mohicans too. He's in another Western that came out recently called Hostiles that I want to check out. But yeah, it also has Jason Fleming and Jaimin Hansu in it. Great cast. The story is basically about these mercenaries that end up on this abandoned luxury cruise ship, and they have to deal with these giant tentacles that are coming around fucking people up. The CGI, I was watching it again. I just watched this just a few minutes ago, or a few hours ago, a couple hours ago. The CGI isn't the best. I wouldn't say like it holds up or anything, but it looks better than some shit today, which is kind of crazy because 20 years have passed since this movie came out. Or it might be 20 years. What is this? Yeah, 98. So 20 years from this movie, there's some worse shitty CGI today than there was in this movie. With the advancement in technology, you would think that they could do better, but you get shit like Freshwater, which is just bad. Just a bad movie. Deep Rising gets a lot of shit. I don't know why. It's fun. Again, if you like action horror, like I don't want to say like action horror, like this is the subgenre or anything, but it's horror. It's got monsters in it, and there's a lot of action sequences. It's like The Blob, 88, where you get your monster movie and then there's action sequences. This one is more so than The Blob because you have to watch it, but there's a whole, what are those things called? Those fucking things you ride in the water. You stand up on it. It's like a motorcycle on the ocean. Jet skis. There you go. Fucking motorcycle on the ocean. There's a jet ski sequence. It's fucking badass. Fun, underrated little gem. Go check it out. I'm telling you right now. It's cheap and you can find it. And you can't find DNA. It's out of print. But you can find Deep Rising. Go fucking watch that. Next, at number 2, is it my favorite? Let's keep that to myself real quick. Blade from 1998. Starring Wesley Snipes. What's his fucking name? And Chris Christopherson. Comic book movie, vampire movie, action, horror. It's fucking great. It's awesome. Blade to me still holds up. I like all 3 Blade movies. I know people don't like Blade Trinity, but I like all 3 in their own way. But I love the first movie. He didn't get to, like in the second one and third one, he becomes very much more of a comic book character. He has the coat that has the red lining on the inside. In this one, he wears a just cool bulletproof vest looking thing. He has a black trench coat like Eric Draven from The Crow, or Sting from professional wrestling. He just, I think people forgot about this movie because there was a lot of talk about Black Panther being one of the first black superheroes, and I'm over here thinking, you know, Blade is around. Blade happened. And it's, as far as action goes, it's got a ton of action in it, a ton of fight scenes. Blade is a badass. The character is fucking badass. Wesley Snipes plays him great. Sticky Fingers was a poor substitute for Wesley Snipes in that TV show. But the first one, I love the first one. Right here on this Top 5 Friday action horror, it's my number 2. And then number 1, from my favorite director, the master, the maestro, the meister, Jonathan Carpenter, as JP would say. They Live, starring Roddy Piper and David Keith. Oh man, Meg Foster, who kisses people. Maybe not in the movie, but in real life. Inside joke. They Live. I don't know if I could really even go into that, because I think anyone who's gonna hear this is gonna know about They Live. Basically, we're dummies, and there are aliens living among us, and everything's bland and boring, but we don't see it that way. They Live is one of my favorite Carpenter films. It's like in my top 5, I think. I have, you know, The Thing and Assault on Precinct 13 and Escape from New York above it, but They Live is right up there. You know, it's constantly going back and forth with a few movies on my Carpenter list, and obviously I like it enough to have it my number 1 on this Top 5 Friday. Roddy Piper, you know, the fight scene with him and Keith David is not only hilarious, but it's one of the better rough street fight scenes, you know, with no martial arts. There is some pro wrestling going on in it, but the great thing about it is just when you think it's over, it keeps on going. The storyline is simple, easy to follow. I read somewhere one time that it made no sense. I don't fucking know what was going on with that person, but They Live is great. A classic. And I was gonna add some other movies on here, and I was like, man, I really could just do a top 13 and have like the official list up, because I was thinking of movies I could add. I'm like, well, those are kind of well known, or just, you know, there's too much on them already that I don't want to put it in my first Top 5 Friday, like The Blob or Maximum Overdrive. Someone mentioned Phantoms. You know, there's a lot of movies out there that are you could call action horror. Resident Evil, which is action horror. I mean, there's action and there's fucking zombies all over the place. But yeah, that's my top 5. A little long on this, but it's gonna be a short video compared to my other ones I've been doing this way. So hope you guys enjoy. I'll see you for the next one.